gathering like that to be most enchanting indeed.
Every presumptuous mother in town will leave me alone.
Let's be honest, most of us watch Bridgerton for the rather dashing Duke, but did you know that the series is based on a collection of books by Julia Quinn? It's true, there are 9 books in the series, and the Netflix hit is only the first in hopefully a long line. Bad news? Regé-Jean Page isn't in any of the others. I know, boo. However, the books in the series have a few key differences. If you're keen to find out what they are, stay tuned. Before we get into it, make sure you hit the subscribe button for more videos like this, and turn on the notification button so you never miss an upload. With that out of the way, let's learn more about the Bridgerton books versus the series. Simon doesn't regularly take his top off in the boxing ring. First up, let's talk about those famous boxing scenes. In The Duke and I, Simon isn't a boxer. He could have been because it was a very popular sport at the time, but let's be honest, it was more for TV appeal. Regé-Jean Page was the major hunk in the show. Having him take off his top and fight off his aggression with plenty of sweat thrown in for good measure was totally for the ratings. It worked though, right? What else would they have had him do? Fencing? Gardening? Come on. Boxing totally ticked the right boxes. Daphne and Simon met slightly differently. In the Shondaland series, we see Daphne trying to shrug off the advances of the rather hideous Berbrook. I mean, can you blame her? In her haste to get away from him, she bumps into an unaware Simon who becomes aware of young debutante. Of course, from there, the sparks start to secretly fly, but neither admit it until much later on. However, in the book, Simon doesn't meet Daphne until he's wandering through the garden and he witnesses Daphne punching Berbrook, who suddenly becomes a little aggressive. That's when we get to see Simon trying to defend her honor and getting himself into a bit of a mess in the process. It's a small difference, but it's there nonetheless. In any TV series or film that's based on a book, you have to remember the based on part. It's never going to be 100% the same because many things don't translate well from pages to screen. For me, as long as the story is basically the same, I'm good with it. Simon is asleep during that scene. This is a controversial one, but you know which scene I'm talking about. Daphne is under the impression that Simon can't have children. She assumes he has a fertility problem and it's just not possible for him. Of course, she does want children, but she accepts it. The thing is, she starts to learn more about sex from those around her. Unsurprisingly, she finds out that instead he's trying to avoid getting her pregnant. If you found this out, you'd be a bit annoyed, right? However, Daphne decides to take things a little too far and prevent Simon from pulling out the next time they have sex. In the show, Simon is completely awake and assumes that he's going to pull out, but in the book, Simon isn't actually awake. I know, shocking, right? In The Duke and I, Simon has been at the local pub. He's drunk to the point of passing out. Daphne sees her opportunity and takes it. Just as that moment arrives, Simon's eyes fly open and he utters the famous, "How could you?" line. You might wonder why they changed it, but let's be honest, it's not really okay to have your way whilst your partner is asleep. What happened to consent? Anthony knows the whole engagement is a lie. Moving on to a less controversial subject, in the TV series, the ruse between Simon and Daphne is a total secret. Nobody knows about it. However, in the book, Anthony is aware of it. He actually thinks it's a good idea because it keeps the undesirables away from his sister. That doesn't stop him from being protective and making sure that his intentions are honorable. Anthony as a character isn't quite as stuck up and overbearing as he is in the TV show, but he doesn't want his sister to end up with a good-for-nothing either. Perhaps the plot line was changed in the show to make it a little more controversial. The secret between Daphne and Simon was the main story for almost the first half of the series until they started to fall in love. Telling Anthony was part of the plot line, something both of them were dreading a little. When Anthony hears of Simon spoiling his sister's honor and refusing to marry her, he has to challenge him to a duel. That was probably the most ridiculous part of the book, to be honest, but it did happen in history, believe it or not. Queen Charlotte isn't actually in the book. Shock horror. We all love Queen Charlotte, played by the wonderful Golda Rochefort. She was a larger-than-life character, and she loved a bit of gossip. She was desperate to find out who Lady Whistledown was, but in the books, Queen Charlotte isn't featured at all. Can you imagine the series without that rather impressive hair and those gowns? How great were they? Still, Queen Charlotte was real in history, if not in the books. She was by King George III's side during his reign. However, she didn't have anything to do with Tun, unfortunately. Personally, I'm glad Shonda Rhimes wrote her into the series. Having the queen at the balls and looking over all the debutantes was an important part of those huge gatherings, and I loved her sidekick. He loved to gossip as much as she did. Sienna Russo? She wasn't there either. There is another character that probably shouldn't have been there. Remember the talented soprano Sienna Russo? She was often getting rather down and dirty with Anthony Bridgerton and was half responsible for the bottom burying scene in the first episode. Remember the tree? However, in the book, Sienna didn't didn't exist. In the second book, there's a mention of someone matched Sienna's description, but she's never mentioned by name and she doesn't play a huge role as she does in TV show. Again, this was probably for ratings. Focusing too much on one couple, as much as we love them, doesn't paint the other characters that way. So by giving Anthony a love interest with a huge complication thrown in for good measure, they're setting up for the second series. If you didn't know, the second series focuses on Anthony alone, as each Bridgerton book is about one Bridgerton sibling and their romantic lives. The books weren't as racially diverse. Unfortunately, it doesn't come as much of a surprise that the books didn't paint a picture as racially diverse as the show did. Shonda Rhimes wanted to make TV show unique, but also true to modern life. So of course, casting black actors was high up on the list. Thank goodness she did, as we might have missed out on the wonderful Queen Charlotte, Lady Danbury, and of course the dashing Duke. However, the books painted Simon as white. There is one excerpt from the book that describes Simon as having blue eyes and many mentions that point him to being white in the original story. There is one part of the book's story that is far better. Having a diverse cast such as this was a huge win, and hopefully it paves the way for other shows to do the same. It's about time. Lady Featherington's husband wasn't in the book. Do you remember Lord Featherington, the gambling, good-for-nothing husband of Lady Featherington, who loved colorful outfits so much? Well, in the book, he wasn't mentioned because he was already dead. As she enters the book's story, Lady Featherington is a widow, but in the TV show, she isn't widowed until the very end. In the final episode, Lord Featherington gets himself into major trouble with the wrong types of people and ends up dead by poisoning. What we don't know is who ends up with the house. That's something to watch out for in the second season. Did you know that Series 2 is about to start filming? When that was announced, everyone squealed with joy. Of course that was until we found out that there would be no Duke, and that kind of deflated everyone. Come on, people, it's about more than Simon, isn't it? Isn't it? Well, for many people, probably not, but Anthony's pretty cute too. Lady Whistledown isn't exposed quite so soon. Moving on from that little bombshell, another twist in the tale at the end of the series was one of the unveiling of Lady Whistledown's identity. Innocent Penelope Featherington turns out to be the gossip-loving writer of the ton, but in the book series, we don't learn about her identity until book 4. Do you think they should have waited, or do you think it sets everything up nicely for season 2? I was pretty shocked to hear that it was sweet Penelope who was doing all the gossip mongering. I honestly thought it would be someone else, but it fits when you look back on it. Hopefully she'll have plenty of more gossip to report as series 2 gets underway. Have you read the books? We'd love to hear what you think about them and how they measure up against the show. Drop us a comment below and tell us what you think. So many times in the past, books have always turned out to be better than the shows and films. I mean, look at Twilight. For this one, however, Bridgerton was a smash hit, and if you can't be bothered to read through the whole book series and prefer to turn to Netflix, I don't think you're going to be disappointed. So there we have it, the main differences between the TV show and the books. Either way, it was a pretty entertaining series, and we can't wait for the second one. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.